In this problem, they tell us that a red, yellow, and blue die are tossed, and the number facing up on each die is recorded. Now, they're assuming a six-sided die. They don't say that, but they're just assuming a cubical six-sided die where each numbers 1 through 6 has an equal probability. Determine that the number that the yellow and blue die show the same number, and the sum of the numbers on all three dice is less than 9. Express your answer as an integer or as a common fraction. All right. Now, for the blue die, there are 6 outcomes. You can either roll a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. So we'll write this as a tree diagram. Now each one of these has a 1/6 probability. So now, once we get the blue die taken care of, now we ask, all right, what about the yellow die? Well, the yellow die, the only number that can fall on the yellow die is we want that to match with blue. So that has to be a 1, so that has to be 1/6 also. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each of these has a 1/6 probability of happening. Now, for the red die, we want the three numbers shown to have a sum that is less than 9. So right now we've got 1 and 1, so 1 works, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, they all work. So that means that's a probability of 1, or if you prefer, 6 out of 6. Now moving on to the next one, we've got 2 and 2, which is 4. So 1 works, 2 works, 3 works, and 4 works. But if we use 4, that would give us a total of 8. And that's the max we can go. We can't go up to 9. So that's 4 out of 6. For 3, 3 and 3 is 6, so we can do 1 and 2, but we can't go any further. So we have 2 out of 6. Here we've got 4 and 4. If we even choose 1, that would give us up to 9, and our sum has to be less than 9. So with 4s, it has to be 0 out of 6. Same with 5s, and same with 6s. No probabilities work here. So the way we do this now is we multiply each of these probabilities. So 1/6 times 1/6 times 6/6. So the key thing is, what is our denominator? Our denominator is 6 cubed. So we got 6 over 216. Here we have 1 times 1 times 4, that's 4 out of 216. Then 1 times 1 times 2, that's 2 out of 216. Now for all of these, it's going to be 0 out of 216. So now we add up all of these probabilities. So 6 plus 4 plus 2 is 12 out of 216. However, that is not a reduced common fraction. So we can take a 2 out of both of those. So when we do, we get 6 out of 108. We can take another 2 out. We get, let's see, 3 out of 54, and we can divide 54 by 3. We get 18. So our final probability is 1 out of 18. And there's our answer, and we're done.